There are millions of people being held in indentured servitude in Pakistan. Most of them are Christians. This documentary shows what it looks like to free slaves. To help us raise awareness as we tell the story, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to join Nations Outreach as we free slaves alongside the local church in Pakistan, click on the link in the description. Thank you for watching this video.
I couldn't believe my eyes. Somehow, in the 21st century, we were buying slaves. We witnessed as entire families were reduced to a dollar value on a page. But for one family, their future is now represented in this handwritten receipt. Today, in the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, more than 4 million people are laboring as slaves. They shape every brick the nation needs by their own hands. The majority of those living in indentured servitude are Christians. Yet amid this horrific suffering, their prayers never cease. This is the story of one family. They are just a small picture of the enormous misery endured by an oppressed people. Their backbreaking effort begins early each morning, long before sunrise. The families gather by the fire for a cup of warm milk tea. They enjoy this minor comfort in the cold of the morning as they get ready for the long day ahead. Work is done daily under the shadow of the brick kilns tower, which serves only as a constant reminder of their entrapment. This morning, they start by rotating manure chips that have been drying on the heat of the brick kiln. They use these as their primary fuel source for cooking their food. Families then head out to their assigned plots of land, which they will make every brick from scratch. Basic survival is difficult for Christians living in an Islamic country like Pakistan. So many have been deceived into taking on a debt they are assured they can work out of. That never happens, trapping them into slavery for generations. For this family, decades earlier, their parents had taken a small loan to survive, which then became an insurmountable number to repay as their loan holders falsified and manipulated their balance. Their parents have since died, forcing the family to assume the debt. The primary responsibility falls to Shiroz, the elder brother of 9 sisters. 6 days a week, they find themselves right here, literally slaving away. Even the youngest children in the family are learning to shape bricks in preparation for their own bondage. All too quickly, though, their innocence of play turns into forced labor, as they will inevitably take up the mantle of their family's insurmountable debt. This story is only one among the plight of millions. Throughout Pakistan and across these 20,000 factories, the legal oppression of the lowest class holds their future captive. They're assigned a plot of land to work at the factory, but it quickly becomes a prison without walls. They labor these fields endlessly, turning mud into bricks day after day. Their future has been stolen by a falsified ledger, accruing insurmountable interest and keeping them stuck under the thumb of oppression. This is what legalized slavery looks like in the 21st century. Even so, their prayers never cease, hoping for a life outside of slavery. Maybe you're asking yourself, why don't they just get out, run away, find someone to pay off their loan, or escape? It's just not that easy. The scales of injustice are against them from the beginning. They are a minority people. They have no rights. You see, for most of the slaves, the reality is torture, rape, murder for them and their families if they don't toe the line. As they return to their homes each night, they gather as a family and as the church, taking joy in a moment of brief rest before they're forced to return to the fields the following day. But God, you know the hopes of the oppressed. Surely you will hear their cries and comfort them. You will bring justice to the oppressed, so mere people could no longer terrify them. And yet here, living as the church, in the midst of their oppression, their joy is unmistakable. These people are made in the image of God. They live together in bondage, yet find a united hope in their longing for eternity. Their children play among the fields. They help one another in times of crisis. They share all that they have and laugh together despite their bondage. This is the church. In a place marked by unescapable pain, with no certainty for their next meal, each day is simultaneously miserable and strangely precious. Life moves forward, though, even for those in bondage. They take momentary joy as they care for their livestock, prepare meals together, and raise their children to seek after God. We saw this joy firsthand while spending a few short days alongside them in their homes. Look into the eyes of their enslavers. They call them landlords. For hundreds of years, kiln owners like this one have been profiteering off the backs of others. They have systematically subjected the lowest classes of society to their rig system. and gladly showed us their empires.
Is this your family's business?
ये आपका खानदानी काम है? Yes, this is a family business, generation to generation.
They are willing to brag of their high profits and of the excellent business model they use to build their country's infrastructure with cheap slave labor. These enslaved families not only represent Pakistan's scarred past, but they have been burdened with building its future, brick by brick.
Thank you for their hospitality.
उनकी खिदमत के लिए दिल शुक्रिया.
Thank you for their friendship.
The landlord that you see here is described as an upright and good man in the community. He owns 9 factories and thousands of slaves, but he is good because he doesn't torture his slaves. That is the standard that is used to measure how good a landlord is in the slave industry. For most of these slaves, however, their freedom is actually quantifiable.
Cover Shilrose and his family.
Through the generosity of others, the debts of 23 slaves were now to be paid. This family's prayers were to be answered today.
So we want to cover all of it.
तो
All of
इस
them.
वजह से हम उन
So-
सबका करेंगे.
This-
ठीक है?
So, yeah, Yasir and Junaid
यासिर भी, जुनैद भी,
and all of
और
his.
जितने भी बहन हैं जिनकी शादी है,
We want to cover those debts
और उनके भी सारों की मैं करेंगे.
right now.
अभी
इमरान और सलीम जुनेद और यासर इन्हां सारिਆਂ ਦੇ ਪੈਸੇ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਜਾਣਾ 4 ਕਰਾਣੇ ਨੇ.
Is that the- Can you grab my notebook?
डेफिनेटली. जब तक मैं यहाँ पे आया हूँ उसके बाद मैंने अभी तक कॉफ़ी नहीं.
Today, more than 4 million people are held unjustly in Pakistan, and countless more are being trafficked or held against their will across the globe. But know this, the prayers of the oppressed are being answered. It is hard to look evil and slavery in the eyes. But what would you do if you saw faces instead of numbers? We are programmed to look away, to discount the suffering and pretend it's someone else's problem. But what would you do if this was your daughter or son, your husband or wife, your brother or sister? You would take action. You would unite with as many people as you could to end the suffering of those that you loved. That's the invitation we are giving you right now. I know it's hard to think about, but don't look away. These are real people with real stories. So pray for the oppressed, stand up for the oppressed, and together we will free the oppressed.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this story. Click on the link in this video to be a part of helping those who are still held in slavery.